Veronica Rodriguez did not move when the judge read his decision, but her family and supporters did. Some of them visibly upset with the sentencing.
Every time I come across a story like this, a woman lying and destroying a man's life because of her lie, and then walking away with nothing more than a slap on the wrist, I'm reminded of how insulting it is to us as men. And their excuse is always the same. They'll say, we don't want to discourage women from coming forward, so we don't want to punish the liars too harshly. Or they will spin it into how false allegations hurt real SA victims. And I've even said something like that, in the past. But in this video, I'm not interested in playing that game. The whole a man's life is ruined, but somehow women are the ones most affected. I'm tired of that angle. Because it takes the focus off the real victim now, the man who was falsely accused. He's the one whose life is damaged. Not hypothetically, but right now. And the courts, they make it worse. They've decided that protecting the idea of a woman maybe coming forward one day is more important than giving a falsely accused man real justice today. So with no harsh penalty for lying, this cycle just keeps going. And here's the latest example of exactly that.
Yeah, Jerry, the judge sentenced Veronica Rodriguez to 2 years minus a day. And the district attorney in Lebanon says the first 30 days will be spent here at the Lebanon County Prison, and the rest of the time will be spent on probation. Veronica Rodriguez did not move when the judge read his decision, but her family and supporters did. Some of them visibly upset with the sentencing.
Any message for your supporters?
The Lebanon County District Attorney says in 2023, Rodriguez was enrolled in the Air National Guard, working at the front desk of a medical facility when she met a military doctor. During her trial in May, the doctor testified they went on a date and had sexual intercourse. Rodriguez audio recorded the date because she said she was not comfortable with how things were going. When reporting the alleged to Fort Indian Town Gap police, Rodriguez presented them with this audio recording and was charged with wiretapping. The entire courtroom listened to it during the trial, and the jury ultimately decided there was false reporting of what occurred. The Lebanon County District Attorney Pierre Hess-Graff was not present for the sentencing today, but she did send us a statement afterwards, saying Rodriguez is not a victim in this case. She writes, quote, "We in law enforcement are here to support those victims. The defendant's actions make every actual report of sexual violence more difficult for those victims, and she should be fully ashamed of herself every day hereafter." Now, the statement also mentioned who Graff is calling the victim in this case, the military doctor. It says he has since resigned from the military, lost all of his pension, and is continually harassed every single day. Now, Veronica's family, we did catch up to them as they were leaving the courthouse this morning. However, they did not want to comment on the sentencing. In Lebanon County, Sarah Metz, WGAL News 8.
So you heard there that when the verdict was read, Rodriguez, she didn't even flinch. And it's like, why would she? 30 days in jail, couple years probation. Yeah, that'll really teach her. That'll definitely scare off any other women who even think about trying the same thing. 30 days. That's what she gets for obliterating a man's life. And, in most of these cases, they only hit these women with filing a false police report. But in this one, they actually had her on wiretapping as well. So if you stack it all together, you'd think this was finally the chance to see some legitimate justice. But no, right? The judge gave her a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again. And 30 days in jail versus losing your job, losing your pension, and being harassed every day because of the stain on your reputation. Who actually got punished here? And not to mention all the other things that come with being accused. And as bad as this case is, there's a recent one that's even darker, more extreme, more evil. And I went into that one over on my locals where I can say exactly what I think without holding back. And if you want the uncensored breakdown, the link is in the comments. Now let's get back to this disaster. Do we really want women like this walking around in our society? Women that are so evil, they're willing to do this. Forget everything else for a second, okay? And let's focus on the evil of what she did. No care for the man whose life she is absolutely destroying. His kids will hear it, his parents, his friends, his colleagues. Not to mention the stress, like the mental war that man is going to have to go through. Everything he built over a lifetime, like gone in an instant. And for someone who can do that without blinking, without giving a shit, 30 days in jail? Really? She's 27 years old doing this. Like, do you realize yet how they view you? How little they care? How the system is prioritizing some hypothetical, what if the women don't want to come forward over a man's real present suffering? Justice. What's that? That is the question every falsely accused man is left asking. And this story gets even crazier. So let's actually learn more about this woman and her actions. These details come from the Daily Mail. After the pair were questioned by National Guard officials for fraternizing, Rodriguez claimed the man had taken her glasses so she couldn't see properly and that the encounter had not been consensual. She told police that part of the alleged assault had been secretly recorded on her phone. And authorities, however, discovered that communications found on her phone contradicted her claims. Lebanon County District Attorney Pierre Hess Graff said that every step of the way, this was consensual. Not only do you have those messages between the two parties, but you also have the way she described it to her friends, and in every text, in every message, it was consensual. Rodriguez had set up another date with a doctor and forwarded the recording to another person accompanied with a description of their night together. Graff wrote in a statement, the defendant had consensual sex that she secretly recorded and bragged about to a multitude of friends. She falsely cried only when confronted about fraternization with the victim by her military superior. She then manipulated the secret recording to try and make it appear as an essay. A full review of the defendant's cell phone's evidence was damning and proved otherwise. Rodriguez was said to have made self-edits to an hour-long recording, creating well over 10 clips. This chick was clip farming. She was clip farming this assault. And she names in her own words to paint this out as an assault. Graff said, investigators identified a pattern of Rodriguez recording similar incidents with men. She then had a history, and we saw it on her phone, where she would document and record interactions with these men, and they would know it. She would take screenshots of all these text messages. The DA added, Graff. Rodriguez was revealed to have allegedly stalked the doctor before their date, according to Graff. At one point, she was driving by one married paramour's house to copy his wife's license plate. She went on Zillow to see what their house looked like, and it hit a point where she was taking videos of herself driving by and texting to her friends in daytime and nighttime. That's the level of stalker we're talking about. And when these men break up with her, she then tries to destroy their lives. So the DA herself paints her as this obsessive, dangerous stalker, manipulating these men and doing all these horrendous things. And then the punishment handed by the judge, it just doesn't align. It doesn't even come close to the crime at all. And that's the bigger issue with our courts. Real criminals are not really getting punished unless, they're white men, of course. Like, for example, a former U.S. Space Force sergeant who shot and killed a teenage carjacker in Aurora, Colorado, was sentenced to 54 years in prison. These teenagers were trying to steal his car, and he got 54 years in prison. It's truly insane. And if all of that was not bad enough, there's a GoFundMe set up for this woman that's already raised $20,000. For what? Well, in their own words, because they believe her. Well, the jury didn't believe her. The evidence didn't believe her. But, random people online, they believe her enough to throw cash at her. When the evidence was actually presented, it became very clear this was consensual. And those people that are donating and have donated are fools. It's the same types of people who donated that were even out in protest before her trial, mad at the district attorney for not believing the woman. The DA had the recording, the text, the evidence, but these people didn't care. They were out there protesting for her anyway because, well, they believed her. The unwise, they completely fold. The second they hear an accusation for a woman, they just immediately, gotta believe her. No second guessing, no innocent until proven guilty. None of that. Just out here believing my woman. And here's the types of people who were out protesting.
People are taking to the streets to demand accountability for District Attorney Pierre Hess-Graff.
This is her job, is to enforce the law in an even-handed sort of way.
On Saturday, people gathered in downtown Lebanon to protest District Attorney Graff's handling of sexual assault cases, including the Veronica Rodriguez case from 2023. According to court documents, Rodriguez filed a police report after she alleged she was by a PA Air National Guardsman at Fort Indiantown Gap. Police would later turn around and charge Rodriguez with falsifying a police report and felony wiretapping after saying she illegally recorded her interactions with the man. Under Pennsylvania law, all parties must consent before a conversation is recorded. Protesters argue she was recording her assault for evidence and that she should not have been charged.
To prosecute the victim of a sexual assault is, again, that's such an egregious violation of her oath of office and of what the whole point of her job is.
Kimberly Baylor says she was angry when Rodriguez was charged and says she has been advocating for her on social media. Baylor has also been frequently calling the DA's office to complain about the charges.
Every single day, 100 times a day if I have to, because she won't come to the phone. It is my First Amendment right to petition to my public officials with my grievances.
In a statement to Fox 43, Pierre Hess-Graff says her office is unable to comment on active cases. She adds that people close to Rodriguez are violating a gag order by talking about the case, saying, quote, "The unfortunate reality is people associated with the defendant circumvented the court order and continued to give untrue versions of events to anyone who will listen. These people bombarded my office with profanity-laced calls, directed threats at me, and stalked anyone associated with me." Protesters say they will continue supporting Rodriguez as the case moves forward.
I just encourage the voters in Lebanon County in particular to take a good, honest look at our district attorney and ask yourself, is this really what we want in the district attorney's office?
Now, according to documents from Graff's office, Rodriguez is set to stand in trial in May.
Well, we will certainly be keeping an eye on that trial date, Matt. Is there a reason that the court put a gag order in place for this case?
Well, according to the district attorney's office, they say the gag order is meant to protect the jury's objectivity just before the trial is set to begin.
All right, Matt Kleinden's reporting for us tonight. Thanks, Matt.
So this is the type of stuff that you're up against when a woman puts something like this on your name. It's terrifying. All it takes is her words. Just saying that something happened. And suddenly people are throwing money at her, protesting in the streets for her, entire crowds uniting with one goal, to get you charged and locked behind bars. That is the reality, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. You have got to punish these women when they lie. Everybody knows that if you want to disincentivize crime, you punish it harshly so others take notice. But when it comes to women, when it comes to this, logic just gets abandoned. Again, because women are involved. Suddenly, the priority isn't justice for innocent men. It's protecting a hypothetical what if. What if punishing them harshly scares other women from coming forward? That question, that hypothetical, that what if is considered more important than stopping false accusations that actually and realistically and presently destroy men's lives, not hypothetically, literally. It's insulting, and it needs to change. Why don't they ever ask the other questions? Well, what if we get it wrong? What if innocent men continue to be convicted? What if they lose everything? What if they lose their family, their pensions, their lives? What if the stress drives them to off themselves? And what if, because we go so soft on these women, more of them keep coming forward with lies and more men get destroyed? What if, instead, we punished harshly to make sure it stopped? Those questions are what none of these lawmakers or judges in power seem to be interested in asking. That'll do it for this one, but there's something else we should stop nurturing in women, and it's probably not what you'd expect. And I break it down in the video on screen. Check it out.